Okay, everyone, how you doing? I'm Steve, if you are watching. The First Time Farmer. Yeah, it's not quite the first time anymore in our third year of YouTube videos, but working on getting up north, up to the farm, and as part of that, we are bringing in the containers to store some things coming up from the city house. Today's video is the crane setting them on their foundation, but it takes a story. And so the last video that I posted is from the end of February, and it's when the containers were delivered and set for the crane. And this one now is the crane, which was the first part of March. We had the crane scheduled for a Monday. I think it was the 9th of March, and I was going to go up and get everything ready and whatnot. And the crane was coming on Monday morning. So I am in the city, at the house in the city, and I am having coffee, and it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and the phone rings, and it's the crane company, and they said that the county is going to put on the load limits Friday morning, the next day. That's a real problem. The road that the farm is on is a 5-ton road when the weight restrictions go on. During the winter, there is no weight restrictions. During the middle of summer, there is no weight restrictions. But for that, roughly 6 to 8 weeks, depending upon exactly when they go on, they stay on until the end of April. So this was going to be 7 weeks of road restrictions, and the road restrictions on our road is 5 ton per axle. Well, the problem is the crane weighs 180 ton, so he can't come out. You would have to wait until May, and so I said, there's no way we can, get this done. And then somebody behind him came and said that they had a cancellation that morning. They were supposed to be leaving air conditioners on top of a building, but it was way too windy to lift an air conditioner, however high it has to go on top of, school or warehouse or wherever they were working. So all of a sudden they've got time, and he said, okay, we've got time this morning. And I said, great, I can be there in 3 hours. Now, the run to the farm is 2.5 hours on a perfect day with no traffic. It is snowing outside, and it is snowing all the way up to the farm. About 180 miles, I think, is the run up there. So it's going to be slow. And so I said 3 hours. It was more like 3.5 hours. But I jumped in the truck, literally jumped in the truck. I keep a bag semi-packed the whole time, but I didn't intend to stay there. So I jumped in the truck, headed to Esco, called them when I was about 40 minutes out. They went in motion, meaning they brought the crane out and started getting there. And by the time I got there, the crane was there and set up. And it's very interesting when you look at the crane, and particularly towards the end of the video, the crane arm lays forward with the hook hanging in front of the windshield, and that is, they run that short, meaning short distances. So they came out of their facility in not actually too far from me, halfway between me and Duluth. They came out of their facility. That crane is turned around backwards and sitting on a dolly. But they then dropped the dolly. So what they did is they drove to a maintenance building not far from me, dropped the dolly, spun the crane around, came in, and when I got there, they were just getting the outriggers set in place, and that's where the video picks up at. And so they get the outriggers in place, and you know, it was a rush for me to get there. So the video is not the greatest in that, you know, I didn't have a lot of time to figure out camera placements. I just set the static camera that I use in place and then walked around with a GoPro to catch some of the other shots, and I'll get that'll all be mixed. I haven't even done the video yet, so that'll all be mixed in with this static. I have 2 hours of static video of the crane and setting the ballast in place and everything else. So let's talk about the ballast for a minute, because this is all part of the story. So this crane weighs 180 ton coming in, but on a truck they bring in another 90 ton of ballast weight. And so when you're watching the video in the very first part, they're bringing those weights in, and towards the end of the video, they're taking those weights back out again. So they swing those weights into place, and then the crane turns around and picks them up. And so I'll try and flag that in the video so you don't miss it, but it's really cool. You know, so they picked up another 90 ton of weight off the back of the crane so that they could pick these up. And it's interesting because the containers weigh about 9,000 pounds empty, and they need that kind of ballast, partially because of the distance they were reaching out from the crane. They need that kind of balance to keep it all in place. So it was really a lot of fun to watch them put the containers on the foundation. Unfortunately, because of the time from when we drilled the holes to the time when we set the concrete, and we had a lot of rain in between the two, a couple of the columns aren't exactly where they're supposed to be. So that's in the video too, where we're trying to, you know, get the corners of the container on all 4 posts, and you know, you got to give up room on one post to get it over to the other post, or vice versa. You know, it's a DIY project, and it's not perfect, but it got the job done. So enjoy the video, and you know, leave me a comment on whatever you want, like and subscribe. It's kind of fun taking you guys along, so I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you at the end of it. What's that? Yeah. Pull it your way a little bit. This one's going to be off. There you go. Now down. Go back a little bit. Okay, so this video got a lot longer than I normally make videos, so we're going to cut it off here and make a part 1 and part 2. We got the first container set in place. We've got 2 more to go. You saw some of the setup of the crane, and teardown will be in the second part, and then a dialogue with my wife on the way home. It was an up and back in one day. In here, I have a static picture of the crane sitting at the shop, and you can see that it is a 5-axle main truck with the dolly on behind. And what you'll see in the next video is the rear 2 axles also steer, and that's how they were able to get it into my place. So that's a wrap, and I hope you found it interesting. Like and subscribe, and join us for part 2 very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.